You know, it really has been great. This year, obviously, and you guys all know, it has been a challenge. It has been a challenge on everybody's front, and I really appreciate you all also staying connected with us in so many different ways, from participating with the critiques and workshops and the online openings and the events and the exhibitions that we have been able to have. It really has been, it's been different, it's been interesting, but it's also, I think it's been, you know, it's been good to be able to connect in a lot of different ways. And as I keep saying in some of our events, one of the silver linings to COVID, at least for me and for APG, is we're able to, we can't socialize in person, but we can connect this way. And the great thing about connecting this way, I'm looking at the list of, and the reason I asked for your city and state when I ask you to register is so I can see where people are coming from. And we have people attending from Florida to Texas to California to Washington to Illinois to, you know, Boston and New Jersey and just all over the place, which they wouldn't be able to necessarily attend our openings or our talks in person, you know, traveling to Atlanta, taking the time and the expense to do it. But, you know, we can do it this way and we can connect. And I can see some of you people that I only see your work and I don't actually see you. So I have found that absolutely a blessing, you know, during this whole time, being able to do this. So, and I hope you feel the same way, because I think it really has been fabulous. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited that we could have this exhibition at the end of the year and that you could all join in with us from all over the place. I think most of you do know about APG, but some of you may not. So just give you a teeny little background. The Atlanta Photography Group was established in 1987, and it is an artist-initiated 501c3 nonprofit membership organization providing opportunities and support to the fine art photography community. Okay. APG is generously funded by the Lubo Fund, the City of Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and the Georgia Council for the Arts through the appropriations of the Georgia General Assembly. The Georgia Council for the Arts also receives support from its partner agency, the National Endowment for the Arts. APG is also supported by our individual donors, our membership, and our fabulous volunteers. And all of this support is what makes programs like this and our other events possible. Okay. How you can support the Atlanta Photography Group: you can become a member or renew today. Go to the exhibitions, show up where, you know, on our virtual ones and in person when possible. Make a donation. Like and follow us on social media. We have workshops coming up for creative and professional development, and also buy photographic art, which you will not only support at the Atlanta Photography Group, but you will support the artists and photographers as well. Tonight, we have the virtual opening of our virtual exhibition, Director's Cut. And I'm the curator for that. It's always so wonderful to look back through all of the work that has been entered in the exhibitions throughout the year and see such fabulous work, and also wonder, why did that not get into a specific exhibition? But it gives me the pleasure of looking through the work and picking out some of my favorites. And I start with a round one, and usually by the time I get to round three, I'm down to a reasonable number of work. And this year, because I didn't have wall space to be contending with, I did go a little crazy, so please bear with me. There are more than 200 pieces in this exhibition, and I just couldn't cut it down anymore because it was just so much fabulous work. And you can check out some of our other things. We do have a YouTube channel, and all of our videos are posted up on our YouTube channel. I wanted to thank you all for joining us and all the photographers. As I said earlier, it really is a pleasure to be the APG Executive Director and to work with so many great artists and so many wonderful people that it truly has been a pleasure. And this is my joy at the end of the year to be able to sort through that work and curate an exhibition of it, and then also get to see everybody as well. So thank you all for being here. And I don't have much else to say other than I really loved all of this work in the show, and I'm going to let some of the artists talk. Well, I do have one more thing to say. Normally in our past exhibitions, we've gone alphabetically, which has been easy. Well, I think I'm going to, Chip is my co-host and he kind of turns people's mics on and off. And I probably made his job extremely difficult this evening because we're not alphabetical and people are all over the place in this exhibition. I did organize what we're seeing by by type of work, kind of similar to how I might have it on the walls at the gallery. So hopefully you will enjoy. Okay, all right, I'm ready to go here. Okay, so the first person that we have, their work is Carolyn Hollingsworth. And Carolyn has two pieces in here and she is here somewhere and she wanted to say a few things about it. So Carolyn, if you would like to say something, I would love to hear from you about your work.
Well, thank you, Judy. I'm just particularly pleased with the two that you picked. And it hadn't occurred to me before that they actually work nicely together. I was looking at them and thinking that both of them are, at least it's obvious to me, are so influenced by all the art that I've ever loved, you know, all the things that I've seen before. And so like I see, you know, a Mondrian kind of structure here. And my father was a structural engineer. I grew up seeing pictures of structures. And anyway, I just love these and so hope that I can get out and travel some more and make some more along this line.
Wonderful. I mean, I really love these. And I know you've shown some other things in the past. And I really wanted to show these because I don't think we had seen these really anywhere. And I really wanted to have them be shown in this exhibition. So thank you, Carolyn.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And we have two pieces by Alan Chimikoff. And Alan is from Princeton, New Jersey. And I just love these. And I thought they went really well with next to Carolyn's pieces because they have that graphic element and, you know, a little bit of that mystery behind them too. They're so different, but I think they go very well with the other work also. I just loved, I am a fan of architecture, and my very early career as a photographer, I was an architectural photographer. So I am drawn to architectural work a lot. And I just really loved the lines and the lighting. And then, you know, just the pieces of these where you're not seeing the whole thing. I just loved the pieces of these. And then I have two pieces by George King. And George did a little traveling last year. He was, I believe these are, oh, it says up there, they're from India. And again, that architectural element, very different from the previous four. But again, that architectural element and just those graphic lines. And then two very different things from different areas of India where we see the density of the population and living very tightly together, and then just, you know, and was very, you know, very gray, and then out more in the countryside where you have a lot more color. And I think that was just like really, really beautiful. Okay. I thought those worked really nicely together. And I was really happy to be able to show these also. We have a couple slightly more minimalistic pieces from Reed. Childers, and Reed does a lot of kind of street photography in Atlanta, but more of his street photography is more like graphic elements. And I really enjoyed, again, the color and the line and the light just happening in this image, as well as the sign from the motel, and even, even all of the chaos from the electrical lines and the electrical poles. And I just think he did a really great job with the color and with the compositions, and just capturing just the simplicity of those items. And the next two are from Terry Darnell, and Terry is with us this evening. Just kind of architectural in a way, but also very documentary. And I think some of the architecture we have is very documentary. And Terry, if you would like to say something about your project.
Sure, yes. I've been photographing VFW posts around the United States for a few years, and I'm trying to get at least one VFW post in every state. And what I'd like everybody to know is, especially this time of year, we lose 20 veterans every day to suicide. So if you have an opportunity in your own community to support the veterans organizations, I'd really be happy if you do that. Thank you.
Okay. Great, thank you, Terry, so much. I think this is a really poignant project. And Terry was also one of our one of the photographic artists in our portfolio exhibition, where she had a collection of how many were there? There were 10 images in that exhibition, and these are two of the images that were not shown, and I thought they were just really very dynamic and needed to be shown as well.
Yes, thank you, Judy. I really appreciate your support.
Yeah, so it's a great project. I think it's a really great project. Okay. And then kind of transitioning into a project by Kathleen Tunnel Handel. And I saw this project last year when we were at Photonola and really enjoyed it. And Kathleen is here as well. Kathleen, if you'd love to say something about this, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your project on these trailer parks.
Sure. This is an ongoing project. These three pieces that you're showing are part of a larger body of work that I've been working on since 2017, traveling around the country and photographing in mobile home communities. The project's titled Where the Heart Is, Portraits from Vernacular American Trailer and Mobile Home Parks. And it's partially to counter a lot of the stereotypes people have about the kinds of people who live and what kinds of lives they lead in these communities. And it's really become a project about affordable housing, that it turns out that equity investors are purchasing a lot of these communities and raising the land lease. Most of the homes are on leased property. And with the equity investors purchasing the property, the leasing costs go up to the point where often people have to abandon their homes, which is usually their only asset. So I've been working with some different nonprofit groups to utilize the work to sort of enhance the conversation about affordable housing, which is an especially important topic through COVID, when so many people are out of work and really can't afford to pay their leasing costs.
Yeah. It's a really interesting project, and we had a couple of these in the current exhibition that were very more graphic and architectural, but I really loved this side of it that's like a lot more, I don't know, I feel like this is more documentary as opposed to the other ones that are very architectural in feel. And this kind of gives you more of a lot of the character of the people and the places. And you're right, during this time and during other times, it's like affordable housing is getting to be a real challenge.
Yeah, it's pretty much a crisis at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Kathleen.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay. And then we have, excuse me, then we have an image from, and I believe, yes, this is from Eric Kunzman's project. Eric, if you'd like to say just a little bit about this, I didn't have you here to speak. I didn't have you noted, but I think this is a great project that if people don't know about it, they need to hear about it.
It's similar to what Kathleen's doing, but I'm taking it from the side of the payphones in Rochester, New York, looking at how they're used basically as social markers of race, class, and economics in Rochester. Many of you have heard me talk during the portfolio, so I'll pass my time on to giving somebody else some more time.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And I believe our next artist is Timothy McCoy, and Timothy has 2 images in here. And I would, he should be here. I would love to hear more about this project. Hopefully he's here.
1 second.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm Timothy McCoy. I live out in Cumming, Georgia. And this is a project called Tongues Turned to Stone. So I went all over the Mediterranean and over many years taking photographs of the ruins of theaters. And I guess I don't know if any of you ever saw the movie, The Last Picture Show, but that's kind of what I imagine here is these people all excited coming into the theater and seeing a show. And then one day it was the last one. There was never another show. And so I imagine that these theaters, and they're done as photogravures. I brought a piece of, I don't know if you can't see me now, but this is one of the masks that I've taken.
Wow.
And it's on this very thin Japanese paper. The images are very large and quite difficult to do. Any of you have done photogravure, you can imagine on that thin paper trying to get it wet.
Yeah.
But it's been worth it to me. So anyway, the first one you saw there was called Waiting for Godot. And if you notice there is somebody waiting right in the middle of the picture. Right there, the black cat.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I hadn't noticed it before, and I was interested in the title, but now I completely understand.
Yeah, so that one is Waiting for Godot. The other one is A Heap of Broken Images, the one it's on Delos Island in the Cyclades. And for those of you who haven't been there, it'd be a wonderful thing to do. But anyway, it was a religious site in Greece. And here we have the broken images. And it's referring, of course, to T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. Mm-hmm. So what happens when the gods are dead? Here, it's not our gods, it's theirs. Mm-hmm. But what happens when the gods are dead and the tongues turn to stone? Yeah. And that's what this is about.
Great. Well, Tim, thank you so much. These are lovely, and I'm really excited to learn that they're photogravures, which even adds to the whole process. But I think these are beautiful, and thank you so very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And I thought this transitioned, from ancient ruins into more modern ruins. And I think this transitioned very nicely into Gary Bieber's work. And Gary, I do believe you're here. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody who's here. There's a good amount of people. So Gary, are you here?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this project and the 2 images that I have here.
I just find places and things that they make me wonder about why. I mean, who built them? These are all pretty much deserted. And I guess the big thing for me is like, why and who built these things and what happened to these people? So I guess that's about it.
Oops, sorry. And is this part of the exhibition that you're currently in? Is this the one that's in the catalog?
No.
Okay, that's different. Sorry.
It's a different series.
Okay. But I just thought these were beautiful and very mysterious.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And then we have 2 images from Don Norris, who's been photographing and documenting some of the areas in the southern US. And I just thought they were just really very beautiful and had a very nostalgic, historic feel to them. The lighting and the compositions was just so well done. And it just feels so from another time, but so well preserved. And it's just so beautiful to look at these locations and then think about, you know, what history would be there. You know, the people who have come through these locations. And I think we have that in a bunch of the, in several of the images we just looked at, is kind of imagining, you know, all of the history that's happened there and what kind of people have worked in those areas. And then the next 3 images are from Eric Smith. And even though this is untitled, these are from the National Monument that is in Montgomery, Alabama. And I don't know if you all have been there, but if you haven't been, you really need to go and visit it, because it's a very powerful monument. And it kind of documents in a way the lynchings that happened after the Civil War up until about the 1950s. And this is each of these iron sculptures are from a specific county, and it has the name of the person or persons who were lynched and the date, and if their name is known. And you can see, like, this is just one. And this one in the back, if you can see this, if you guys aren't on a very tiny screen, has a whole lot of names on it. So, and it's just a very powerful location. And I think you all should, if you haven't visited, please make a point at some point to visit Montgomery, Alabama, and visit this national memorial. And then there's also some sculptural work on the site as well. And this is one of the sculptures on the site. So, and you can read more about it. It's the, Eric, are you here? What is
Yes,
the
I
name?
am.
What is the name of this monument? I'm sorry, I keep blanking on that name.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, it's the National Memorial for Peace and Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a memorial to all of the people, primarily Black males, who were lynched during the Jim Crow era.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, each one of these columns is from a different county in mostly the southern United States. Each one of these columns is designed in the shape and size of a coffin, a pine box. And if you notice, they're all hanging, as you can see in this picture, from the ceiling, and
Mm-hmm.
to go along with the lynching motif. This memorial is put up by an organization called the Equal Justice Initiative, they have a center there that they hold conferences and workshops and educational programs to inform people about this history
Mm-hmm.
of us in the United States. There were over 4,000, I think it's 4,200 or 300 people who were lynched in the United States during the Jim Crow era.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend it. It's a very photographic place.
Yeah.
You can take all the pictures you want. You can't use a tripod, and you can't take a backpack or a camera bag in. But other than that, you can stay there all day long and take as many pictures as you want.
Yeah.
It's a great place. Highly recommend it.
And it's just it's definitely very moving when you're there. I walked through it.
Yeah, it's very similar. To me, it was very much has the power of the Vietnam Memorial
Okay.
in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
For those who have been to the Vietnam Memorial.
Great.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah. And you did such a lovely job in capturing the power of it, as well as the solemnity of the location as well.
Photographically, the situation is very contrasty. And on the interior, this is an outside sculpture.
Yeah.
But on the inside, so everything that I shot on the inside was done in HDR.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I
Yeah,
had to do
yeah.
to hold the range of tones.
Yeah. Very nicely done. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And then we have, and I photograph, I'm sorry. Then we have this like really kind of sculptural outdoor location shot from Joe Dreher. And the name of it right here, I'm sorry, is incorrect. Somehow that got spelled wrong and I haven't had a moment to change it up. But I believe it's New Canaan. I don't remember. I'm going to have to look that up, but the name will be corrected on the website very soon.
It is New Canaan, Connecticut.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that is just like strangely spelled. I have no idea what happened there. But I just loved the shape of it, and then how it just kind of blended out of Eric's photographs into this one. I thought it was just like a really, really good companion piece to go along with it as well. And then I have a couple just really fun images that I just love the mystery of these. You know, the glass floor and the feet, you know, and it just kind of gives us that separation moment. I felt very drawn to this just because of the softness of it and the mystery happening in this. And this was by Lisa Hill. And then there was another one by Hannah Elijah that, even though it's very different, it felt like a really great kind of companion. Again, that mystery through the glass and the reflection and the steamed up mirror and that morning moment that I think we all have experienced at some point. But it was just, and then the light coming in on this, I thought it was extremely beautiful, and just like the colors and the light. And I was really drawn to the mystery of this one as well. And then kind of going on to a little bit more mystery. And this one might have been a good companion to go next to the one, to the Memorial on Peace and Justice, possibly. This is from the, there's a train museum here in Atlanta, and this was a train, and I don't know if you guys can see back there, but it might be the train museum, I could be wrong, or it could be the Civil Rights Museum, but back here it says for colored patrons only. So just kind of tying that in, you know, we have a lot of that history, and I think it's kind of been brought to the forefront recently with some of the events that have been happening. But I really just love the light on this, the play of what was happening and the lines happening in it. And then again, the historic moment of showing us these types of things as well. Oops, sorry. I keep moving my mouse around, and if it leaves my screen, it I can't click through to the next one. And then we have some work by Tom Meese, Tom does a lot of street photography as well, but he doesn't really photograph people on the street. He really photographs these interesting shapes and quirky moments, and really just kind of I think he has a lot of fun with it. He looks for the color and the shape and the capture of these various things. And we have this pyramid with the red grid in the background. And every time I see Tom's work, it makes me wonder what else is going around in that image. You know, what was outside of it? What did he crop out? Where is this scene? And it really makes me think of like, how does this fit into context of wherever we might be? So he always makes me think about a lot more of of what else is happening when I see his photographs. And this is also one of his as well, called Window Seats. And again, just, you know, I think the color and the shape and the composition is really lovely, but then you see that face and that eye looking at you from out of the window, and it becomes quite mysterious as well. So I really think that, you know, his sense of humor and what he captures and what he finds is always fun to look at. And then we have, you know, another kind of street documentary image without the people, but with a hint of the people. And, you know, just that pink dress, like, why is this pink dress hanging on these stairs? And the shape of the stairs kind of leading you into that. And then we come to this, you know, fairly formal dress just hanging outside. And again, I keep asking myself questions, you know, what's going on? Why is this out here? What happened? And I think I love to do that in photographs, is, you know, try to figure out, you know, what's the rest of this story? And we can all come up with our own narratives on it and have some fun with it. You know, these few images together here, I think, were my mystery series of, like, you know, what's going on in these photos? What else is happening? Brent is from Houston, and I don't think he was traveling tonight, and I'm not sure he was able to join us, but we have Hot Plate at Night. And I think this is from his series. He was photographing a bunch of artists and their studios, and, you know, what people just kind of have around. And I think this was just a small vignette from it. But again, the lighting and the mystery of, like, what else, you know, just this tiny snippet, but what else is happening in this room? Who lives here? What do they do? You know, why is this set up like this? So part of that mystery happening in here, I think, is so much fun. And then we have 3 images from Ashley Coleman, and Ashley was here. Okay, are you here, Ashley? Did we find her? Did she go away? She was here at some point.
There's somebody named Ash, but she isn't replying to my direct messages.
Yeah, and I thought Ashley Coleman was here at some point. Well, if she pops back in, we can possibly ask her about her images. But she has been photographing her children. She's a mom, and, you know, just the everyday moments of kids. And those of you who have kids, you can probably relate to all of these various things, you know, called locked out, and, you know, the handprints on the windows. And I love this one, standing on the iced over pond. And then, I don't know, I can even relate to this from my own childhood growing up, from riding bikes and roller skating on the street, and how many times that became a moment in my in my accident-prone life. But she has a really wonderful series on, you know, just the everyday life of, you know, what happens with herself and her children, and what they get up to. So it's very interesting. And she photographs them in such a beautiful way. And then we have some fun images from Beth Hershaff, who is from Los Angeles. Beth does a lot of also interesting, not your typical street photography. She tends to photograph with a pop of flash in there, which what really makes that subject in the foreground really kind of stand out against the background, and just captures these interesting scenes and colors and unique moments. And when I paired these together, I didn't even realize they were from 2 different places. And she made a comment to me about, she's going to pair them now. This is from a carnival in Berlin, and this was from a carnival in Los Angeles. And I just thought they went so well together. Okay.
That never would have occurred to me. That's so great. Carolyn said something similar, I think.
Yeah. So, and I think, so tell us a little bit about both of these.
Well, I don't know what to say exactly other than one thing that's consistent, like you said, is the flash in daylight. And also in the case of what I like is that the flash is very, very close to the camera, not like a regular flash where it kind of stands up and has a shadow that goes down. And using it during daylight sort of makes it a little bit hyper real, I hope.
Yeah, that's a good way to
Yeah.
describe it. I like that.
Because you don't first, I mean, hopefully it doesn't scream too loud, but that it kind of it feels a little bit off kilter. And the one, it's not, I don't know if it's of huge importance, but one thing I like about the Berlin one is that it's this riot of color, but then this gray coat. Like, I don't think it would have worked if her coat was also really colorful.
I think that separates her a little bit better on that. And I love how the flash or the light just adds that little pop, and like you said, hyper real. So you don't automatically know what's causing that, but it's just like this little brightness happening on that subject, which is really, which I really love that effect. And I love how you use it
It's
on all
funny
the different
because
images.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, usually it's not people. Usually I'm in this series, it's shooting objects and, you know, street corners and stuff like that. But this somehow kind of fit in
Yeah.
that series. I mean, you know, the series is kind of prescribed by, there's a sweet spot for what looks good with the flash. So any further away and it doesn't look so good, and closer it doesn't look so good. So it kind of defines itself like that.
But no, I think
Yeah.
I think they're really, I actually love the rest of her images. So you may want to check out her work just because of, they do have that hyper real. I love that effect. I love that term, that hyper real look to them. So it's really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I'm gonna take a look at the portfolio class online. I look forward to that. Hopefully there's room.
Right now, there's just a few spaces left. Yeah, so it's a good class, and then we will finish it. I'm sorry, I backtracked, everybody. We will finish it with an exhibition. And the people who finished this past year, we haven't had their exhibition yet. Hey, because of COVID, but they will be doing an exhibition, and then this other group will have an exhibition also. So I got to work that out. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And I think Bill just sent me a message that he was leaving us and his image was up next. And speaking about hyper real, I think we went from, you know, Beth's hyper reality to this kind of crazy in store hyper reality, you know, of, you know, all of these crazy things that you can find in a store. And it just caught my eye of, and even though it's very different, it kind of reminded me of Gursky's 99 cents with all of this stuff just lined up and all of the Valentine's Day candy in the background and the red hearts. And then we have Charles Manson in the foreground. And it's just this craziness going on all in this one photograph. Okay. And then Elena Sergieva is from Boston. She does a lot of street photography. And she kind of travels around. This one is from, and I love the Caragüe market. She does a lot of traveling in South America. And this was just really a very, very, you know, kind of slice of time of all of these people kind of hanging out and going about their daily business. As well as this one as well. And you have, you know, all different kinds of people. This one is actually looks like it's from New York City. So we have this, you know, travel around the world and, you know, seeing very much of the same kind of things from, you know, from people all over the world. And then Colin also does a lot of street photography and captures these very interesting, juxtapositioned moments. And, and I just noticed this, I think this dog found something on the sidewalk to have a snack. And we have these people, stealing a kiss, and this woman, window shopping. It's just all very, all these moments happening all at once. I think they're very intriguing. And I think this one was also a great moment of the cocktail lounge on the high seas, and just the way he captures, the moments and the people. And he's truly a fly on the wall, because they really don't seem to be aware of him in any way. And the angles he shoots just feels very, very mysterious. Okay. And we also have, next we have Cyril. And Cyril, are you here?
Yes.
Yes,
hello.
Wonderful. And are you in
Hi.
Atlanta right now?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
I'm living in Paris, but I'm in Atlanta. And by the way, I was at the domestic terminal yesterday, so I saw the exhibition, and very enjoyed the display and all the photo.
Great, because yesterday was the very last day for those in the airport.
It was by the chance I was there for exchange a car, and I said I need to see the exhibition. Okay, great. And
wonderful. So Cyril, tell us about your project.
So I discovered the Bill Bickett Rodeo in 2012, when my mother-in-law gave me a ticket as a gift for the rodeo, and I didn't know the existence of the African American African rodeo, and I very enjoyed the rodeo, and I was thinking one day I need to come back to take some photos. So I was already on a couple of different projects, but in 2017 or 2008, I asked if I can come back and take some photo, and then I focused more on the behind the scene, and not necessarily on the show, but the preparation and the portrait, and I try to come back every year, and so we keep in touch with all and now. So you have Kelvin who was at the end of the show, just waiting to go inside the arena. And then before it was Harold, who was bareback champion, and the 63-year-old man who was the number one at the Bill Bickett Rodeo 2009, and a great champion.
So Cyril, where do these rodeos take place?
It's all over they go in Atlanta, but also Washington DC, LA, and Memphis. So it's then Denver. They are, and it's the only one who turn around and then make the a lot of states.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. It's a great project, everyone. So hopefully we'll get a chance to look at it. And one of Cyril's images was also in our airport exhibition from this project as well, which is a really fabulous photo of a father and son. But it was like really very well done. And Cyril joined us for the opening of that one while he was in Paris. And it was like, 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
I think, yes. So now it's more, even if I have a bit of jet lag, but
but you're
Yeah.
here and you're on the same time zone. Okay.
Thank you
Well,
very much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Okay. I love this project also.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, and then I wish Hassan was here, but he's not. But these were, you know, I think my some of my theme for this exhibition is mystery, because these were just very mysterious photos of, and even the titles don't really tell me much. So they were just very mysterious photos and I really enjoyed them. Again, some more people, a little documentary style, but they were just really very beautifully done. And this one I love, where you can see the smoke, but then the eyes just peering out from there. This is really wonderful. And then Gerald Alderman, he had also some very interesting documentary people photographs. And I really love when, you know, like with Cyril's and, you know, with Gerald's and some of the other ones I have in here, where it's almost like a portrait, but you know that it's more documentary or more kind of street style, but the photographer is definitely having some interaction and some rapport with the person they're photographing, and that person definitely knows they're being photographed. So you have that close up, and you feel like you're in, you feel like you're personally in front of them from the distance and the composition and the angles. And I love that feeling of intimacy I get by seeing some of these images.
Yeah, we hold to that because it's the only way out of this mess.
Somebody's got their sound on, so if you would please mute, thank you. Okay. But some of these characters were just like really wonderful. Carriage driver in Vienna. Okay. And then I probably should have put that one next to Cyril's. Okay. It's like really really fun. And then Gordon Haidt. Gordon, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. All right. So tell us about your two images.
Sure. So I was certainly inspired by Robert Frank for the last 9 years. I'm from Georgia originally, but was living in the Jackson Hole area working as a fly fishing guide, and had been itching to put a project together. Before all that, I was a U.S. history teacher and was kind of struck by certain years in U.S. history, 1968 being a prime example of a pivotal year. And this time a year ago, I was thinking 2020 was going to shake up to be a historic year. I didn't think it was going to be this historic. But so I sold my house out in Idaho and had planned to take the year to travel the lower 48 states, Robert Frank style, and document America in 2020. That was the name of the project. These are two images that I made on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. I drove from Georgia out to LA starting January 1st of this year, and got 11 states in over the first 2 months before COVID shut things down. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of the project. And I'm not sure that I submitted originally one of the other photos that goes along with the Mickey Mouse on Hollywood Boulevard, but there's a photo from the same day of a young girl who happens to be in a wheelchair, who is right above Donald Duck's star. And in true Robert Frank style, the sort of sequencing had been something that really pulled at me a little bit. And I wanted to mention briefly to Tim McCoy, who brought up the last picture show, but on my drive out to LA from Georgia, I spent the night in Archer City, Texas, where that movie was filmed, and spent some time walking around the town square and the movie theater and all that. So.
Well, I just really enjoyed those, and I hope you have the opportunity to add on to the story and maybe a 2021, addendum or addition to it.
Right. Post-COVID edition.
Yeah, exactly. Because it definitely, yeah, it's definitely a challenge in street photography and people photography this year. Thank you, Gordon,
For
very
sure.
much.
Well, thanks for including this privilege.
Thank you. And then we have 2 images by Ron Sherman. And Ron, are you still here? He was going to have to leave early.
I'm here.
You are here. Yay. Okay. All right.
Yay.
So tell us about your 2 images.
Well, this was Andy Young, who became the first Black representative in U.S. Congress from Georgia. And I just was doing magazine assignments for Time and Newsweek and other magazines back then, but a lot of this coverage was just on my own. And series of events at covering him. Just that picture with his wife just beaming just made a difference between the ones where she was looking away or whatever like that. And I was at the fence where this picture was a week or so after it opened. And the gentleman in the back here, Reginald Eves, was a policeman or a politician, anyhow. A gentleman comes up to me and he says, "Oh, I know Reggie," and he mentioned that there, and he went through and mentioned everybody. Then he looked at me and says, "Are you the photographer?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Boy, I'd love to have a picture." I said, "Well, send me the information and I'll get something to you," but I never heard from him. The other one was Maynard Jackson when he was running for mayor the first time, and photographed him on numerous occasions when he was voting. I'm sorry, when he was out hitting the bushes, and photographed him at the Lester Maddox store down in Underground. And then I was with him another day, and out of all the pictures of him politicking, this was my favorite one.
Yeah.
He's just so personable. Excuse me. I photographed him when he was mayor. He and Muhammad Ali had a boxing, a fundraising boxing match. And of course, Muhammad Ali was on the ground and Maynard was over him. And Julian Bond was the referee, counting Muhammad Ali out. So these are two times where I got the pictures I wanted, and they've been very well representative of my work.
Yeah. Well, Ron has a long history of great historic moments from all of your magazine work, as well as, you covered the streets of Atlanta on your own without any assignments, and you have a huge archive of Atlanta images from the people to the places, and it's really a stunning amount of work. And Ron, I'm so happy to have you in this exhibition, and I'm so happy to have known you for many years.
Many years.
Yes. I've known Ron since I was 2, so we'll just go with it. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then this image by Karen Abramowski, hopefully, that just her way of capturing that shadow and the light coming in on that, it was just really a very dynamic image, when the shadow really is what the image is all about. And I think it's just a really well done and very, very fun perspective, very interesting image. And I think it was just a fabulous piece. Great image, Karen. And then Philip Mosier, and Philip, you are here, I believe. And these are 2 images of Philip's.
I am here.
You are here, so
somewhere.
So yeah, there you are. So tell me a little bit about these 2 images in this project.
Well, I kind of like to do documentary style photography from the FSA, and most all of my pictures are very clear and sharp and poignant. But a lot of times I'll bring a toy camera or a plastic camera like this one and just kind of enjoy the visceral experience of making photographs. And of course, my subjects typically tend to be loud like I am. So like the now gone, completely demolished truck stop off of I-20 just resonated with just all kinds of noises and just vibrated equally, as did the Georgia band at halftime at the football stadium. So that connection and that idea of how photographers and photography respond to a subject, and then think about the relevance of how that subject connects with a viewer, then shapes maybe the way somebody feels and thinks and interprets what that was.
Okay, well, great. And I love the idea that these were done with a toy camera as well, that you can just kind of be in the moment and not really worry about, and you get what you get, and you never know what that's going to be, which I think is fabulous.
Well, if you work with something long enough, you kind of get a, like I tape my cameras up because I don't want them to have the light, some photographers like the light leaks and all the effects and that kind of stuff. Well, I tend to want my images to be as real and as pure as possible, even in the toy mode.
Yep.
So there's this, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit about me more than the pictures, but I enjoy it that way.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for participating.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm having fun. Man, I'm really enjoying listening to everybody.
Yep. Well, great. So am I. I love to hear everybody's stories, but I am going to have to speed this up a little bit. Otherwise, we are not going to get through everyone's work. So I am going to move a little faster through this work, and I hope you all will bear with me. And whatever you miss, it will be on the website, as well as there will be a replay of this so you can skip to your parts, and that will be up on our YouTube channel very soon. Okay. All right. So moving on. So we have this image from Karen Lee Rittering. And it was just like really, just a really wonderful street scene, a travel image. And I just really loved the moment and the light and the color happening in this one. And I thought it paired really nicely with this image from Steve Dinsberg that was, and I'm not sure where Steve was. I know he was traveling through India last year, and it might be from there. So I just thought these two kind of paired really nicely from transportation and the street scenes. And then we have a couple images. Again, this is kind of our street photography section. And this was just a lovely view of the butcher shop, and just kind of the person outside looking in. And it does have a feeling that it's either China or Chinatown, with the Chinese writing and the people in the scene, but a very typical street scene, and just like very, very well captured. Okay. And then along with this one as well, called The Goalie, and with his goalie gloves on, and just really interacting with the photographer and kind of giving the tough guy pose. I thought it was like really, really a very nice image. This was just fun. Scott Gilpatrick, one of our members from Columbus, Georgia, he does some really great street photography as well, and just captures these very interesting moments. And I loved this with the girl reading and the poodle and the river and just the light on it. It was very, a very, very nice scene, very well captured. Okay. And then we have an image from another street scene from Nathan Dean. You know, and it just has this extremely old world effect to it, but, you know, it looks like it was photographed very recently. And I know Nathan does quite a bit of traveling. So could be, I know he had been to Cuba and it has a feeling of that. No, this one was Morocco, I believe. And just like very, you know, a very wonderful scene and that moment in time. And then Samantha Yancey is with us, and Sam has 2 images in here. And Sam, I would love to hear about your photography.
Hey, can you
Hopefully
hear me?
You're still, there you are. Yes, wonderful.
Yes, okay, yeah, I'm Sam. I'm from Leesburg, Mississippi. And I'll try to talk fast. I began the series in 2010. I was a student at the Art Institute, and we were to emulate a photographer as one of our projects. I did some research and I chose Peter Syker. I'm not sure if I butchered his name. I think he was a Danish photographer, Danish-American photographer. And I just fell in love with the way that he captured people in like this raw, almost like photojournalism meets portraiture, like the cigar photo. And so I decided I would go home to Leesburg, which is this really small community in Mississippi, not many people at all, and photograph the people there who I had known the majority of my life. My parents owned a little corner store, and so working there as a teenager, I developed a good relationship with some of the elder people there. And I wish back then I had had a passion for photography like I do now, because it's incredible, some of the stories. But anyways, my mom and I, we just decided to get in the car and drive around. We pulled up in people's driveways and just asked if we could take their photos. You know, in a small town, everybody knows each other. We all trust each other, so it was fine. And I got really good feedback from my teacher at the time, which I can't remember if it was Taylor Bareford or Nicole Jacobs. So I'm sorry if I'm like forgetting, but I know one of them, which they've both been like monumental in my career, but one of them gave me really good feedback. And it was then that I really started to like develop a style, you know. And then I think 2013, I was asked to be in the Artist Walk at the Stacks lofts over there on Boulevard. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't yet developed a like strong body of work. So I just decided that I would go back to Leesburg, Mississippi and continue on it. And I'm here now. I've been here since April or May, and it's sort of just my way of like falling in love with my origins all over again. Because, you know, being from Mississippi, it's, you know, a lot of artists here are like, okay, there's not much opportunity. We want to get out. We want to travel. We want to do whatever. But being here and photographing the people and the places around my home is just like, I don't know, it's just really sweet. So this image is Roots. And like I said, my mom and I were just driving around. We had stopped in this field to photograph a farmer and a tractor. And I wanted some photos of myself. And I had just so happened to have my hair parted that day. And so it just seemed like divine timing. So me and my mom made it work. And the other image is Nana's Chicken Outlet. And those are some of my neighbors right down the road. I was told later that she and her granddaughters painted it, and unfortunately now it's demolished, but I'm really happy that I got this photo.
Yeah.
So that, you know.
These are wonderful. Thank you, Sam. I think this is a fun project, and I love that you have, you know, returned to where you grew up. I think it's always interesting going back and kind of photographing what you take for granted as you're growing up with whole new eyes. So
yes, I love it. I'm really thankful for it.
Yep. All right, great. Thank you so much. And we do need to move faster, so I am moving along. Hey, all right. Oops, sorry. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. The people, again, the people who are not speaking, I'm probably just gonna like move like quickly through their images. And, you know, so just you guys have like a quick little look, just so we can get to everybody who is here who is going to say something. So this was just a really beautiful scene along the river or along the waterway. And just very, you know, again, very timely, very nostalgic feel to, you know, to some of the, you know, traditions of the South. looks like a Cuban tobacco farmer, just like really, really beautiful imagery. Okay. And Amatrice, you were here. If you want to give us a few short words about your two images, if you are still here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so, give me something quick. So sorry, everybody, I'm going to make you go quick.
All right. These photos were taken in Ethiopia. The first one you saw, those are warriors from the Cairo tribe. And then the second one is a young girl from the Mercy tribe. And if you look at her ears, you'll see she's wearing the rings and her earlobes have been extended. They also wear those in their lips, and they push their lips out, the Mercy tribe does. And then the Cairo tribe, they're famous for the white markings on their bodies, which of course you can't see here, but they were famous for painting their bodies. And that's a sunset shot, of course. So that's it. I'll keep it moving.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. They're beautiful. I loved them so much. The whole project is really lovely.
Thank you.
And then we have a project from Alan Schroeder, and this is, he has a very wonderful series on saving orangutans, and I have 4 of the images in here, and it's from, saving the orangutans, and it looks like a rescue or a sanctuary for them. So he has a really lovely project on that, and these were just really, it's a really lovely story. I'm going to give everybody just enough time to see the images, but I'm not going to stay too long. Okay. And then our next bit is Ann Berry, and Ann, you were here. And this is also a primates, a grouping of images of primates. And Ann, if you want to say a few words about these 4 images.
Okay, I worked on this from 2010 to 2016. And they are all shot in very small zoos in Europe.
So very small zoos in Europe.
So in like a small monkey house, not that they couldn't get outside too, but they were coming in, it's direct contact with them. They're sitting very close to me.
Okay. They're just really beautiful. I think you did such a beautiful job with them. And how many are in this collection?
About, well, in the completed project, about 60 or 80, but and I have a book with 21st editions, and I'm doing another book, and the book that I'm doing that's like a small trade book type book is going to have 49 print plates.
Okay.
In it.
Well, wonderful. Please make sure that we know about it so I can kind of share that with our people.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Ann. And this was just a lovely, this is our animal section. So we had a lovely animal section, just like really interestingly done, very different kind of animals. And this was just a beautiful little composite with a drop, of this little fly catcher, just a beautiful angle on it, and the lighting and everything was just like very beautifully done as well. And I thought this was, it was interesting how it paired really nicely with someone else's image that was a different type of bird, of fowl. And it was just like nice how they kind of worked very nicely together. And Stephen, this was beautifully done as well. It just such a beautiful portrait of that. Oh. And then one of our members, Carrie Walters, she photographs a lot of animals and actually composites the background, but really puts them in these really interesting scenes. And just Carrie has such a love of different animals, and you really need to check out her work as well. She has such a collection, and all of them have such just beauty to what they look like. And then we have some wonderful buffalo. So we go from this really beautiful little fragile fawn to these really powerful buffalo, but just really dynamic images, and seeing how powerful they look in that scene. down to very small images. And Mofid, I don't think he has joined us because he's in Saudi Arabia, but he has been photographing these, you know, obviously like very close up images of various beetles, and just the color and the texture and the interest in seeing them close up. I hope they're small. Okay. Is just very, very interesting. And he has a really interesting series of those as well. But that was just, I just love the texture and looking close. They're frightening and interesting all at the same time. Okay. And now we're moving into our floral section. So we have a lot of flora and fauna, not a terrible amount, but just some really lovely images and some things that are uniquely captured from the light to where they are to the types of images that were captured. So I think they're just like really very beautiful. And I love this, that, you know, the bumblebee is sitting on the sunflower, and just the texture, and you can feel like you can actually touch it. Just the light on that is absolutely beautiful. And then speaking of light, just looking at these poppies, the backlight on them and the texture, it almost becomes an abstract, just the color and the light. And how they're placed in the scene, and then really looking in at, you know, the detail as you can kind of zoom into the center of that poppy and see all the texture is beautiful. And I really enjoy when people take, you know, flowers and leaves and flora and botanicals and make them a little bit more abstract, that we have. It's not just, you know, kind of just a leaf, but the abstract and the color, and then the playing with the color on this to even abstract it even some more, and bringing out the textures and the contrast is beautiful. And then just something very subtle as the, you know, the pods. We have another sunflower in a very different look, where the other one was very, you know, very lively. And just now this sunflower, this past its prime. But again, just the feeling and the mood and the softness of this was really intriguing to me. And some more textures on leaves. I'm really loving the abstract qualities of these botanicals. And then the simplicity of the magnolia on the dark background, and the light quality was really stunning, and really picking up all the texture. Really nicely done between it and then also her tulip as well. The textures, they just look so soft and creamy. It's just so beautiful. And, you know, a lot of these, some people have set these up, and other people is just, you know, out on a walk, they're just finding these like really lovely things just, you know, as they're walking. And I know that's what Chris was doing during, you know, her walks in the pandemic, is as she would take a walk and just photographing as she went. It was just beautiful. And Karen's been doing a lot of still lifes with flowers, and just really creating these really Dutch master kind of feels with the light and the softness of the, you know, the dark background, and just the colors and the compositions, just really beautifully structured and lit and done. And the lovely colors and the textures are really fantastic. And Barry, I believe you're here, and you have a couple images in here. If you'd like to say a few words about these.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
Okay.
Because I haven't traveled, I went back to some of my old travel photos and just took a fresh look at those. And so that's obviously in Death Valley. We were there early for a sunrise, and me and about 200,000 photographers. So trying to find a unique perspective was fun. And then the other one, I was out actually photographing the grain silos, and turned around and saw that truck and the smoke and the red and the green, and just captured my imagination. And so that's what I can't wait to do again, be back out on the road.
Yeah. I think we're all going to be, there's going to be a lot of road trips in our futures. All right, those are very nicely done. Thank you, Barry, so much for joining us. All right, and then we have 2 images from Stephen May. And Stephen, you're here if you'd like to say a couple words. He's here somewhere.
I believe I'm here.
There you are.
Thank you. Oh, there's so much beautiful, compelling work tonight. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome.
Well, these 2 are a long-running and ongoing series. They're all based in Atlanta. I really enjoy going out into the city, all corners, and seeing what I can find. You Atlantans know the rate of development that has happened in the city. Certainly the last 20 years, 5 years, the last year, stuff can really change quick. And I look for landscapes that have signals or hints that they are right on the cusp of being developed. And so in that sense, they are future sites. They will not be there very long. So it's kind of traditional landscape photography of landscapes that in sometimes a week or a month, certainly 3 months, they will not be there anymore.
Wow, very, very cool. And I love the idea. It's called Future Sites. I thought these were very, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. All right. And then we have Kurt Silvershield, and Kurt, you were here as well, but I just loved how the starkness of these just played into the starkness of these more industrial scenes. I thought it was just very, very interesting and intriguing, where we had future sites and now we had past sites kind of all tied together. So Kurt, I really enjoyed these. And then we have a couple images from Barry Van Grove. Some more, we're in our landscape moment here. So just some really wonderful black and white images, just again, of the majesty of our nature, of our natural world. So from, you know, the storm and the marsh, and the reflection was beautiful. And then the light through the trees and the swamp was just really beautiful. And another Barry Noland with some, you know, from this very detailed close-up kind of landscape with a little water and the roots, just really beautiful textures and tones, as well as the starkness of this scene, just like very nicely done. And then Richard, who could not join us this evening, Richard's been photographing a lot of landscapes and nature, and just the tangle of what you see as you're walking through that. And I just have really enjoyed you know, from the simplicity of some to the chaos of others. I've really enjoyed these landscapes. We have a few more landscapes from Benjamin Dimmitt. And Benjamin, did you join us today?
I am right here, yes.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your project.
Well, this one is a little like the Future Sites, but this is a series that project I've been working on for a lot of years. The photograph on the left is taken in 1987. The photograph on the right of the exact same place is taken in 2017. So this is documenting the climate change and coastal inundation along the Gulf Coast. And it's an ongoing project. I've got 6 years worth of after photographs and tons of older work from the archives that I use to match up, and got a book project working now.
Cool. Yeah, I've really, I've enjoyed seeing the series, but then I just, I just shake my head at like how much the area has changed. It's just.
I shake my head. I'll be leaving Sunday to go down and shoot more.
Okay.
I don't know how I do it. I was asked how I do it. It's really very depressing, but I know and like to play, so
yeah,
I just keep doing it.
Yeah. Oops, my mouse is in a different place. And then we have this one.
Well, that is 20 years old, and it's in a completely different part of the state of Florida. And I shot it with infrared film back when that was available. And it's a very beautiful photograph. Sometimes you get it right.
It's really, really nicely done. Just the angle and the, from the silhouette to the texture is just really beautiful. Okay.
It's one of the things that infrared film could do.
Yeah, I loved that film. Thank you, Benjamin, so much.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. All right. And then this was like very similar. And this was from Todd Stewart from another image. And I just felt this one and this one just really had like a really nice tie together as kind of companion images that had a similar but different feel to them. And then we have another image from Steve Dinsberg, and these are all individual, 6 individual photos. And it's just like a really lovely kind of repetitive, even though they're different trees, it's just a really lovely repetitive pattern across there, and very nicely done. Lisa Reisman has 2 images in here, a slightly different way of handling a wide angle view. And I just love the overlap of these and just her way of capturing the scene on that was just very lovely. And then this one was, she was whale watching, and it was just like really lovely. If you guys can see in there, and I'll point it out, there's a whale in each of the frames, but it's just very, very subtle and just blends in so well with the waves in the water, and just a really, really intriguing photograph. And then we have an image from Todd Suttles, just the lovely fog. And Todd, are you here? Because I'm really interested in the title of Larry's Vietnam.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be real quick.
Okay.
The title of this is Larry's Vietnam, A Moment. And it's from a collection that I'm shooting that's I'm calling Evidence of Life or Memory. And in the collection are the images are things that I have a personal connection with. And the story behind this one is too long to get into here, but it's on my website if somebody wants to figure it out. But basically it was I ran into a person. It's documenting an hour-long conversation with a gentleman.
Okay.
And blah, blah, blah. So anyway, thank you. And I'm loving the show. It's great to see all this. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Todd. Yeah, I'm trying to speed up and I'm having a hard time with it. But all right, so here we go. And then I just thought this was another image by Todd Stewart. So I love the 2 Todds are together here, and they just had a really good feel of being like very, like a companion of kind of the same kind of feel in the moment. And I think that is so much fun to see how different photographers are working in different places, but having some, not the same, but similar kind of similar feels and similar moods to their images, which is real, which is always fun to see how people in different places are working somewhat in parallel. Okay. And then Carolyn Meltzer has some beautiful images of the of capturing the freezing the ocean waves coming in. And I just love how our eye doesn't necessarily capture that, but it's things that we can capture by a camera and in the fraction of a second. And I love how it just freezes that moment and gives you a different view and a different perspective on what our eye sees. So very beautifully done. Okay. And then we have another ocean scene, but with the ice frozen in there from Diamonds at Dusk by Cynthia Harris, and a little bit of the motion, but then how the ice has just frozen in there as the water is moving through. And again, something that our eye doesn't really see so much, but we can capture by our camera, and we have that frozen moment. And then moving on to the Frozen Icicles from Barbara Miner, which is just, and I think some of you in the Northeast are experiencing a little bit of that. Fortunately, the ice storm that was predicted here didn't happen, and I'm grateful for that moment. But my thoughts go out to everybody with lots of snow and ice up there. So be safe, be careful. And then Bremner, I believe you are with us, if you're still here.
I can't find Bremner.
Okay. All right. So she has been photographing these wonderful water areas around some special areas. And I'm sorry, I wish she was here. She could talk about it, but she had another image in our recent exhibition that her color palette and the way she captured them is really beautiful. So I would hope you all would check out a little bit more of her work as well. And then we have this one from David Steinberg. And some of these, I don't know much about them, but I was just really drawn into the shape and the color and the light and the play of, being a photographer. A lot of things like draw me into different images. And I just loved how the texture and the light, where this could be a real location, it could be, it looks very, outer space in some way from the texture of the ground. Okay. And then Chris Anderson. Chris, are you here?
I am.
All right, fabulous. If you give us a quick synopsis of these two images.
Yeah, these were from last year, traveling in a large fjord on eastern Greenland, the less populated side of Greenland, inside of the Arctic Circle, and spent 8 days on a 110-year-old boat. We were mostly doing landscape photography, 8 photographers, but in between our different points along a 450-mile journey in that fjord, of course, there was these beautiful icebergs, and the captain thought we were nuts because every time we saw one, we wanted to circle it like 3 times. And captain was from the Faroese, and he was like, "It's a stinking iceberg. Why do you want to keep circling around it?" But, and this one, that's the reflection, that was actually out on a Zodiac. We would go out very early in the morning and out for sunset at night, where the waters were very still.
Yeah. Very nicely done, Chris. And I've seen a lot of Chris's images from that, and they really are stunning. But I can't believe being in this location and being on that boat for like, what is it, 8 days, 10 days?
8 days and no communication with outside the world.
Yeah. So, but it was just really stunning, and I would say this is a really fabulous, photographic adventure that you had with this. So very nicely done.
Thanks, Judy.
Great, thank you. And now we're moving into more of our constructed images and a little bit of, and these could be constructed in camera or constructed in computer. And I think they're just like very intriguing. Annabelle Park from Los Angeles does a lot of very interesting compositing type of images. And they just have this like kind of otherworldly feel to them, whether they be, you know, more landscape or more cityscape. And I think they're just very, very interesting textures and subjects pulled together. And then Fernay Coy creates a lot of these narratives where some of it is photographed and other parts are, well, he's photographed all of it, but composited together, and he creates these very interesting narratives. He has an image in our airport show that came down yesterday, as well as I believe he has some work at in the current exhibition at MoCA GA as well. So really, he creates these really wonderful stories. And then next to Robert Rausch's images, and Robert is doing the same thing, but pretty much all in camera, and has these great little narratives and stories and creating these very intriguing scenes that I really enjoy seeing what he's got going on and the narrative that he's, you know, working on with those. And then we have our extremely creative Miss Corinne Adams, who is always creative in so many different ways. And she's just, you know, so dynamic in all of the things she creates. And I can never keep up with what she's doing. And she's creating these mirrored images. And I believe all of them are done in camera. And they're just so much fun, as well as creating these scenes that she actually makes the scene and then photographs it. So that's all kind of constructed in the scene, and then she photographs it, where she gathers the leaves and attaches them to the tree. And she has so many of these that she does, and I think they're just so much fun. And when Corinne and I were in Paris last year, we were playing around in the Luxembourg Gardens doing some of that, and it was really a lot of fun. Okay. And then there's Diana Sharon Nygren, and she's creating these very interesting architectural scenes with people. And I just love the narrative that she has going on in creating this, you know, as you know, it feels like people are on a diving board or a beach or a platform, and they're just kind of like really out of their elements. But the scenes and the color palettes and the narrative is also very, very interesting. Okay. She has a whole sequence of these, and I would highly recommend. The links to most everybody are on the web page. So if you want to see more of somebody's work, if you visit the web page, you should be able, if you visit the Atlanta Photography Group's webpage, you should be able to link to any of the artists that you are interested in. And then Becky Wilkes, and Becky was here earlier. Becky, you still here?
I'm still here.
Great. If you could, I know, sorry. If you could give us a kind of a quick story here, I would love it.
Well, first, I want to just thank you for inviting me to participate. And it's been kind of fun. This is several shows I've managed to be in Atlanta, so that's fun. I've collected trash off the lakefront for years. And these are obviously what you would expect to see on the lakefront. So if you go to my website, you'll see what you don't expect to see in all the other paraphernalia. But anyway, these presented a lot of challenges, but they're digital collages of individual photographs. I try to be quick.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much. Okay. And then Elise DeFore has 2 images. Elise, are you here?
Yes, I am.
All right. If you can give me a quick synopsis as well. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut people off, but.
Well, this is from my embodiment series, and where I actually put myself in front of my large scale artwork and moved about with the intention of being embodied with my artwork. And to me, it speaks to all of us living in the space between us and a liminal state of being that we exist in right now.
Yeah, I think they're just lovely, and I love the feeling of them, and I love the movement in there, and just kind of the abstract mystery of what's happening.
it takes a lot of takes to get
to get what you want.
I get what I wanted.
Well, you've done a great job, and I'm really enjoying them. So thank you so much, and I'm so glad to be able to include them. And then we have 3 images from Harold, and he makes these digital composites that are just truly these, digital mandalas of real things. And I'm glad he's titled them what they were, the Antwerp Cathedral. Just really very cool. And this is autumn reflection, so it's all leaves, just very interesting collections. And then red mums, I think they're just so intriguing. And so, I mean, you can look at them for a long time and just kind of really draw yourself into them, which is really very interesting. And then we have 2 images from Dale Niles. Okay, Dale, you were here. If you can give us a quick overview.
She's not responding to my.
Okay.
Just have to unmute my thing.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, these 2 images are from my series Lives Revisited, and I've taken vintage photos and then landscapes that I've taken and kind of just made a composite and a story put together.
Great. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you all for really, making it short and sweet. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going too long here. Okay, and JP Terlizzi is kind of doing and also a composite thing, and I believe these are from family photos and creating a wonderful composite and narrative of the images, and he has a really beautiful selection and series with these. Very nicely done. And Cindy, all right. Yes.
Yeah. So I began photographing myself with an obsolete professional instant camera and expired film, and waited by windows and doorways for a certain type of direct light, and shot with long exposures, and found that I was able to make my body translucent, showing contours of the architecture behind me, and sometimes even showing the inner lining of my body. So I was creating like an introspective state of mind, combining body and light and mind and time.
Yes.
And I just really appreciate you, Judy, for selecting these in particular, because the series is what was really fun for me, because it made a friend of mine, a designer friend of mine actually did it, and it allowed me to see the work in such a different way. And and it a little more, it even emphasized, I think, the feeling of introspection.
Yeah. Well, I just really enjoyed them a lot, and I really wanted to show them. So I think they're very beautiful and they're very thought-provoking. And again, I'm saying, it's like, I swear, like a lot of these images that I've chosen have this moment of mystery in them, and these have that as well. So thank you, Cindy, so much. I really
thank you, Judy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. And then we have Laura Noel. And Laura, are you here? Did you make it?
She was here, but I think she must have dropped out or gotten kicked off or something.
Okay. All right. So yeah, because I don't know anything about these other than I really enjoyed the images and the color and the palette and the piecing them together. And I really was hoping to learn more about them from Laura. So I'm going to have to reach out to her, but I just thought they were very intriguing. And then we had a couple more. I thought this was just a fun section of, you know, kind of compositing and putting, you know, some solarization and some different photo effects and just creating some really interesting types of imagery with some different feels and some different looks to it from some everyday life things. So I really enjoyed the look of these from Beverly. And then Roger's kind of overlays and multi-images, just the feeling of, you know, the feeling that you get in New York being alone and, you know, all of the different things happening. I really loved the overlay and the different textures and layers happening in this and kind of visiting those New York moments. And the same way with this one where you get the feeling of the place, but then, you know, kind of the ghosting of the soldier in there as well. I loved how Roger was combining and creating these, you know, kind of multiple exposure type of scenes happening here. And then Christopher Jordan's images, just these wonderful cyanotypes and textures and layers and overlays on there. Really beautifully done and very, very thought-provoking, called Duplex. And Diana Bloomfield, now this is the only person we have in this. She makes these absolutely stunning books. Most of them or all of them are cyanotypes, and a lot of them are botanicals. This was hosta photograms, botanical cyanotype photograms, and again, making these absolutely stunning books. I loved a lot of her images and a lot of her books. And this one was one of my favorite, and I found out it's actually sold. So it was really a beautiful, beautiful book. And this one was The Old Garden. And again, all cyanotypes. I think she does an absolutely beautiful job of making a photo object, and it's just beautiful. And more cyanotypes, but now just in a single image. Polly Gaylord from South Carolina. She does a lot of cyanotypes and alternative processes and just really has some very, very stunning and beautiful images. I've always been a fan of cyanotypes, and I think these are beautiful. Okay. Dan got, and she was going to be here, but she wasn't. I got a couple messages from some people not feeling well. These were, they look like wet plate collodions, but I'm not really sure. It looks like a copy of it. And it's just this really lovely kind of mirrored image, almost mandala-like as well. And the textures and tones happening in there is just really, really intriguing, as well as this one is. And I thought these transition very nicely into our people section. We move into the people. This was Nikki Murphy. Nikki photographs a lot of children and does a really beautiful job of it. And I just loved the quality of this and all the different hands together. I thought was really beautiful. We have Erica Angelica. She's been doing some really great color work and working with some people on different subject matter. And I thought I just loved the kind of the serenity on his face, but then the movement of his hair. And I love the contrast of those two things together, which was just a great contrast in there. And then the little bit of flowers sticking out of his shirt and his pocket, very nicely done. David Clifton Strawn. David, are you still with us?
I am.
You are. So David, you have two images in here. Tell us a little bit and as quick as you can about your portraits.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Judy, for including these pictures in the show. Both of these are from an ongoing portrait project that I'm working on, where I'm working collaboratively with different Atlanta creatives to create these portraits. So the main thing I would like to say during my brief time is if there's any Atlanta photographers that would be interested in collaborating with me in this project, I would love to take your portrait. So I'll put my website in the chat and you can contact me.
And it's also on our webpage. So there's a link to your website on our webpage.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Thank you, David. He's doing some really stunning portraits, and I really love following his work. And then we have some images by Ashton Jones. Okay. And Ashton, you are here.
I'm here.
All right. So give me a little quick synopsis on what you got going on.
Really quick. These photos, portraits, they was taken in July of 2019. This is kind of when I first, was really just exploring, like, getting into photography, trying to create different, just different looks and everything, trying to get creative. My model, Rashad. So basically the one that we're looking at right now, I named it King Rashad. The one with the, basically, the blue tarp was basically his idea. We just really got into like, we got into our, what should I call it? The pool at my apartment. We had got into a pool in my apartment and we just kind of shot these really quick. And the one with the underwater, I named it Unstoppable because he was really just, he was really just, I don't even know what to say. Like, he really just kind of was doing his thing, just going underwater. We had got this fish tank and then I had got my camera and then we just kind of, just shot these pics real fast. And yeah, that's, basically about it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ashton. And thanks for participating. It's great to have your work here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and then Manuel Morquecho, he has several ongoing series and always has some very intriguing people photographs, and I've enjoyed watching his progression of work over the last several years. So again, there's a link on our website to almost everybody in the exhibition. Okay. Marianne Mitchell, I just loved the kind of movement and the feel to this. And again, the mystery was really lovely. And I'm trying to move as fast as I can. All right. And then Michael Joseph, are you here?
If he is, I can't find him.
Okay, so he was going to be here, but so he's in Boston, so he might be having a snow issue. Okay. Michael's been photographing a lot of street people across the country, in Provincetown as well as in New Orleans, and he just has a really great way of capturing them and really having, finding some very interesting people. He talks to them and gets some background and really kind of works with them to get a really interesting portrait of them. And then I really loved just the movement again of this one from Michelle Simmons and the light on this woman's hair, and then just the movement in it and the texture on her shirt. I just thought the color, the texture and the light on this was extremely beautiful. Okay. And is Toki here? No.
I don't see her, no.
Okay. Toki's doing these really stunning portraits of children. They're just really beautiful and just creating narratives around them. I would highly recommend, again, you all check out her work, but they're just very powerful and very moving, as well as just very regal as well, in creating these absolutely beautiful portraits. So very nicely done. And then we have Tracy Bosworth Page with some really beautiful black and whites. Tracy's a portrait photographer and is moving into, doing a lot more narrative and a lot more fine art stuff, and really has some beautiful, beautiful people and beautiful moments happening in her photographs. This was just a really stunning photograph of this young girl and just the feel of it. And then this one, I just loved the color and the texture and, you know, what story she's created with this, with the props and the headpiece. It was just beautiful.
I'm here, Judith.
Oh, you are? Okay, so
Yes.
give me a quick story on this.
Just real quick, the first one, both are study and light. I'm using every opportunity I can just to keep changing my lighting setups. This one really inspired me. This is just a graphic piece that I did several years ago, but the one with the young girl, I was very inspired at the beginning of this year by the Black Lives Matter movement and the kind of the resurgence of the civil rights movement to start really focusing on Black and diverse talent. So that's what this is all about for me, just bringing some of my Black talent just front and center in front of my camera and trying to focus on them.
Great. And they're beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And then we have 2 images from Morgan Ford Willingham, and she's creating, her images really have a story about how we're kind of, you know, inundated with advertising for cosmetics and makeup and, you know, the youth culture and making everybody look beautiful. And I just love how, she's created that narrative. And then Jerry Poulin. Jerry, are you still here? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Would you tell us, would you tell us about your 2 images?
Yes, and thank you, Judy, for including me in the show. These pieces are from a series called Senses and Animate, and what I was trying to do is expose the unseen. In a still image, you have one image that you can look at. When you're doing multiple exposure in camera, and these were 3 exposures over 1 minute in camera, you can start to create a story that moves, and you can pick up on things that may have otherwise been hidden from you. So what I'm trying to do is really reveal some very kind of tender, unaware moments in my subjects. And it's all about activating the senses, by the way, with objects of their choice and how objects enliven us and give us something to feel and respond to.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I thought these were really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
So everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. We don't have that many more left, so I'm going to try and keep us moving here. And then these were just like very, some, again, mysterious photos from Donna Garcia. She creates a lot of movement in her images and a lot of mystery. And I thought, again, they were very intriguing. You can tell it's a person, but, you know, there's just, you know, that moment of, you know, mystery of what's happening in here. Right. And then I loved these very subtle and minimalistic images, both in, you know, color and tone, as well as in subject matter from Eddie. And Eddie is one of our international members from Belgium. And I loved his series of you know, these people on the beach, and I just really loved how he captured the texture and the tone happening in here. I thought it was like very, very poignant. Yeah. And then now we're moving on to a little bit of abstract, and you know, a little bit of abstract kind of nature stuff, as well as a few other things. We have this from Joyce Ernst, and I could have put all the ice stuff together, but it's just like lovely little ice bell, and the color and the line happening is really beautiful for hers. And she has a lot of these lovely, you can tell what it is, but then it also has this wonderful abstract quality to these nature scenes. And I've really enjoyed seeing Joyce's work over the years. And then, you know, some more water, and the reflection on the water was really beautiful. Fire writing. I love the title of this and just the red across the water. Lawrence Manning with Murder in a Blizzard. And Lawrence did want to say something if he's still here.
No.
Lost him? All right.
I think so.
All right. And, you know, just the birds and the trees, and it has very painterly quality to it. Okay. We also have Martin Crone. Martin has been one of my favorites. With Martin photographs a lot on his walks and captures all these different things. He's so versatile. He's so varied in the types of images he does. And I really love his sense of composition, his sense of color, his sense of texture. I've been a fan for a while, so I really just enjoy showing Martin's work and being able to highlight some of it as well, and just how he sees things and how he puts them together. And just from the very, you know, if you think just very mundane subject matter, but just captured really wonderfully. And then Jennifer, are you still with us? You are, yay. So here's 2 images from Jennifer McKinnon. She was here.
Oh, okay. I photographed dumpsters, and this series is from a series I call Pre-Spring, and I am very inspired by nature and seasons. And so this was a sort of that coming out of winter and into spring, where there are some bright pops of color among a very white, neutral sort of canvas. So in a couple months, we'll all be feeling that. Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. All right, thank you so much. And she has a great series that just photographing these textures on the side of dumpsters. And if you didn't know they were dumpsters, you would never believe it. Okay. And I think this ties in very nicely then with, I have these really abstract landscape scenes from actually a few people. Monty Orr is just this, you know, patchwork quilt of landscapes. And it's just really the natural landscape and how it looks as this quilted pattern, which is really fabulous. And he has, I actually have 4 of his images in here. And I just love how he's framed it and captured it and the colors in there. I think they're from a variety of different locations. Just like really stunning. And then we also have Peter Essex work, which is construction scenes that were all photographed from a drone, and just the way he frames them and you know, turns it into this really wonderful landscape abstract from the sky, I think is really fabulous. And then you know, from the sky, from the drone to from the sky, from an airplane. And Bob Davies has 2 images in here that were photographed from the airplane window. And I find this very interesting that, you know, we have these from Bob that also has that patchwork quilt kind of feel to it from the sky. And he didn't have as much control because, you know, I guess you're not stopping that jet as that pilot's moving across the country. And I find, you know, in a parallel universe, Ronnie McClure is also from New Hampshire, is also doing a kind of similar project where he's photographing as he's traveling and really capturing these really wonderful textural abstracts from essentially, you know, from a 747 or whatever jet he might be on at the time. Which then leads us into, from this very far out landscape to this very far in landscape from Nick Prince, where Nick photographs very close up interior views of minerals and gemstones at a very, very close up feel, okay, or very, very close up camera angle, and lights them in different ways to create this. He has more patience and with this, where I love how he gets the texture and the color, and every time it's something very different. And both of these are from Nick. And I think this is really interesting that we move from these from Nick to a reflection on water that is broken up into another abstract that's just very, very interesting from Gittell Price. And Gittell is here, okay? But it, you know, it's just a really, it almost looks like foil, but it's just a reflection across the water, and it's really beautifully done. And moving then into a cracked window, filigree glass, from Cheryl D'Amato. And, you know, like I said, how these things just transition into each other, and how very different things, or very photographs of very different subjects, have a very similar feel to them, and can work together very nicely. And then a painting with light from Renee Barrero, some night photography, and just creating, you know, this abstract feel with the light. And I think this played very nicely into the next, the next kind of abstracts that are plays on light as well, from Light and Shadows from Cy Richards. Thank you all for hanging in there. We're almost done. Okay, there's just a few more left, I promise. Okay. Really, really beautiful, you know, just look at the light and the shadow happening. And then we have two images from Susan Peltison that are just these very interesting lighted pieces of mesh. And Susan, you were here.
I am.
You are still here. Thank you. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about these two.
Sure. Thank you for including me in the show. It's a beautiful show, Judy. These were transient abstract images. I really created the sculptures and then photographed them. And I was looking at, it was during COVID and dreaming, and I was looking at feelings of enclosure and enmeshment and fortresses. And so I used screening material, which is sort of permeable, to be able to see in and to see out. So I did about 15 or 20 of them, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I just love the shapes, and I love the golden quality to it. And you know, I just love the shapes you created with it and the light on them. Really wonderful.
Thank you, Judy.
And this is kind of moving from Susan's. We're kind of in our very last segment, which is pretty much still life. We moved out of abstracts. We're now into some still life kind of images. And we have two composites from Thomas Whitworth, where he's kind of combined a person and a still life image in a very intriguing kind of pairing of images. Okay. And I'm going to have to go back and read the story on these. Okay. And I thought this was just like the color and the texture from Shannon Davis with the pearls on iron was just very beautiful texture and color. And how it all played together, and even how the texture from the background, which looks like asphalt, looks like even pearl pieces on the background, which was really just really kind of tied the two together. And then we have some really black and white. The rest of this is black and white, and very black and white, just simple, minimalistic graphic abstracts of very common everyday things. From your laundry basket, you all will never look at laundry the same. And these two are from Beata Sass. and forks. I love the shadows that she's been able to play with the forks. And then Michael had to leave us earlier, but he's done a whole beautiful series on these family pieces from Granddad's straight razor, and he's photographed them so lovely and created this really wonderful memory of pieces that he's seen as he was growing up as well. Granddad's straight razor and the shaving mug. And I love how he's photographed them and captured, the wonderful qualities of them. And the dresser sets. And then is Ken still with us?
I am.
You are. Thank you for hanging on. Almost last but not least, we have these two images from Ken Guthrie. So you can give us a few little talk about.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, I decided I'd start a section called Perspectives. And the idea was to find things which may be fairly common, but on their own have high contrast. And depending on how you photograph them, put a question mark maybe in the person's mind of what's going on, what are they? And so I have about 15 of them, not that many, that I've put together for about 5 years. So.
Very nice. And I really love, there's a little bit of texture in there, but I really love the graphic quality of them. Very nicely done, Ken.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And clap, everybody. Last but not least, this Atlanta car park out, viewpoint out. And I think it's an interesting one to end on, as we've all been kind of stuck inside in a matter of speaking, looking out onto what's going on in the world. And that is our very last image. And I just love the graphic quality of this image as well. All right. All right, thank you all for hanging out. It didn't go that far over, and we did move a little faster as we went on, but I really loved all of these images, and I loved hearing the stories. And like I said, I just couldn't narrow it down anymore. And so there's so much great work. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm happy to answer anything. You're happy to unmute yourself and say hello. And
I'll tell you what, they were just wonderful photographs. Just some spectacular photographs, Judy.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I can see why it was so hard.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. So I just couldn't, if I had to put them on the wall, it was going to be a salon show. But there's so much, and that's the thing. There's so much great work that we get in that, the juror has a little bit smaller amount to look at, but I looked at all of the work that was entered and then picked from it. And it's just so wonderful. And I wanted to go back to some of the critiques, because there's been work in the critiques that was not entered in shows that I wanted to include. And I'm like, I got to stop somewhere. So.
Thank you so much, Judy. I just want to say that I really love the work that you're doing. I love that you take all this special time to make those graphics to send to us, which I think are just so amazing. And like nobody does that. Like you,
right?
Like, you do go way above and beyond. But I think it's great because you're getting your image and name out there all over the country as we share them, and piquing a lot of curiosity. So I just want to say thanks for all that extra work you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you so much. Thank you for participating as well. And again, I love photography, and I just love seeing what everybody's doing and how different it is. And I think that's what's so wonderful about photography. You can do so many different things, and it can be so very interesting.
Thank you for supporting all of us, Judy. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to have some in-person events for those of you close by, and for those of you out of town. Hopefully you'll be able to come visit us as well.
Think about it, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's such a great show, and it kind of made me wonder if it might not be a bad idea to have a workshop on editing disparate bodies of work together, since so many of these images actually hung together nicely.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an interesting idea, and it was fun. I saw a show in Paris. Oh God, it's been many years, where they took like I don't want to necessarily say historic photograph, but it was kind of a known photograph, and they paired it with a new photographer, and where the compositions worked together, even though they were taken 30, 40, 50 years apart. And it was just such an interesting pairing. And that's what I love doing. I love pairing images that go together, that nobody thought belonged together. And I love seeing how they work together.
Your sequencing was fantastic.
I would take that class for sure.
Well, let me figure out what that would be. But thank you.
I mean, especially since, a couple people said they didn't see their work going together like you saw their work going together, because it's like, the fish doesn't know it's in water.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to sometimes look at your stuff that way.
And that's why I think it is a good thing to have somebody else help you kind of edit, not in the Photoshop edit sense, but help you choose and organize your images, because you do have a different viewpoint when somebody else has a different look, and they pick it for sometimes different reasons.
Right. Yeah. If one more question, if there were a couple pieces that I actually thought I'd like to buy, would I just find somebody's name on the website?
And just contact me.
Or email you.
If you go to the gallery with all the images will be up. The caption on it is just like you saw the caption that was up here. It has their name, the title, and the price. Just contact me and I can make that whole thing work. But thank you all very much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Stay in touch. We look forward to seeing you in the new year. Happy New Year if I don't see you before that. And really have a wonderful holiday season, and hopefully see you very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you all.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you.